And your first part of success in life, I think, is be willing to accept that people, they're not going to like you. And if you're willing to accept that, I also want you to go out there and just be willing to be awesome. It's okay to be different, but embrace that different. Embrace that differentness. So my daughter, I remember when she was a junior in high school. She wasn't involved in sports. She was in theater, and I love theater. She's a dancer. But she wasn't working. She wasn't involved in extracurricular activity. She wasn't volunteering. Every day she's going out. She's driving my car, my insurance, my phone, her phone, but my phone. I pay the damn bill, my phone. And then it's every Friday night. She wants another $50. I'm thinking, this ain't right. I sat her down one day. I said, baby, we need to talk. She said, okay, Daddy. I said, no, we need to talk. You know, about college, where you might want to do what you might want to do. You know, big school, small school, north, south, east, west. She said, okay, Daddy. Remember, a couple weeks later, she comes home. She comes flying in the house. She's like, Dad, what? She's like, I'm not college material. And I was like, I know. I know. And she wasn't. So she graduates and she says that she wants to go to New York City to fulfill a dream of dancing on Broadway. Stupid. So I move her to New York City because I want her to experience what she wants to go after. I supported her. I was like, you go, girl. Let me share with you how this experience works. You wake up, you audition, you get rejected, you come home, you cry. You wake up the next day and you audition again, but that's where I was impressed. Because every day she'd wake up with a different attitude. She put yesterday behind her and she said, this is going to be my day. When you get knocked down, you get back up, and that's what she did. And so she'd go and audition. She'd get rejected again. She would go home. She'd call me. She's hysterically crying. I'm laughing. We have a great conversation. And it's not necessarily that I'm laughing at her, and I was. But I remember when she was just 22 years old, she's like, Dad, when am I going to have my break? Really? Ladies and gentlemen, overnight success, I've come to learn, takes 15 to 20 years. And so one of the questions I want to ask you, do you have the courage to put the time in to do the little things that other people aren't willing to do? Do you have the courage to show up early and stay late? Before I came here, your administration sent me this survey. And so I'm looking at it like I cared. And it said, like, in Upper Bucks County, 30% of kids say that they have a positive role model. And I thought to myself, 30%? That's 3 out of 10 people. Let me tell you something. Every one of you has an opportunity to have a positive role model, somebody that you look up to. And you have those people in your life every day. You know what I think that we need to do? Let's not wait till we're old. I'm a 44-year-old fat, bald dad, grandpa. And I'm just learning for the first time, as I look back on my life, you see, I think we should look at our life in phases. Where we've been, where we are, but more importantly, where we're going. I'm going to get to the airport tonight. I live in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I'm going to get in my big jacked up Ford F-150 pickup truck with 36-inch tires, all murdered out Lamborghini gray as the accessory colors. It's nice. I'm going to be driving home, and I'm going to be looking through the windshield. Too many people go through life, and they look through the rear view mirror. My girlfriend, last night, she said this to me. I'm thinking about reading a book that I read 3 years ago. It was really good. Why? The story hasn't changed. Too many of us like to live back then. Man, I was so happy when we were dating. I wish we would date again. Why? There's a reason you broke up. My nephew Connor, stupid kid. 18 years old, graduated from high school. He and Paul have been dating 2 years. So apparently, you know high school drama, apparently she cheated on him. So they break up. He calls me, Uncle Jeff, man, she's stupid. I don't like her. I don't, the stupid $1 million freaking school and $2 sound system. So he calls me up and he's like, I hate her, she this, she that, she's stupid, she's dumb. Week later, they're dating. I says, Connor, why? We're all better now. No, you ain't. But let me tell you something about mentors in your life. Ladies and gentlemen, if there's something that I can wish for you, it would be this. Lose your ego. Open your heart. And for every one of you, if you have a trusted adult in your life, a teacher, parent, a friend's parent, a coach, guidance counselor, ladies and gentlemen, go to them. You can't do this alone. And I don't want you to be at some age to look back on your life and say, I should have. You know what my daughter figured out? 25 years old, she's like, you know, Dad, I'm not sure dancing is going to work out for me. So she went back to school, she got a real estate license, and she's selling real estate in New York City. My young daughter, we don't know if she's mine. But no, I mean, she is mine. She looks like me, she's got my features. She's stunning. Gorgeous. But she's smart. She speaks 3 languages, which is like 2.5 more languages than I speak. And she's the motivated one, academics, so important to her, which is good, fine. 9th grade, she comes home, spring, April. Dad, next year, I'm going to go to Chile, and I'm going to be an exchange student. I was like, no, you ain't. She's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, no, you ain't. She's like, well, you're fat. What does me being fat have anything to do? That doesn't make sense. It's like being in the pool with Helen Keller playing Marco Polo. It doesn't make sense. What? I'm just saying, why do you guys look back like the administration is going to take the mic from me? They're probably sweating, but they're not going to. So my young daughter, Taylor, I was serious. I was like, no, you ain't. She's like, yeah, I am. I'm like, no, you ain't. And so sophomore year comes and she goes to Chile to be an exchange student. And think about that for a second. She had the courage to go to a country that she ain't never been. She had the courage to go speak a language she ain't never spoken. She had the courage to go live with a family that she ain't never lived with. And you know what I'm afraid about for young people today? We're lacking courage. We live every day wondering what people might think, what people might say, what people might do. I pray for every one of you to just go about your life living your best life. And find people in your life that build you up and you build them up. Help your neighbor, help your friend, have love in your heart. Number two, I think it's about having a sense of appreciation, a sense of gratitude. I have a 22-year-old nephew. His name is Patrick. My nephew Patrick has autism. Up until I had surgery, Patrick lived with me. And then most recently, Patrick's mom came back into his life, and she took him away. Let me tell you about Patrick. He'll never drive a car. He'll never live on his own. He'll never have a job. He'll never get married. You want to know what he wants? Maybe just to someday go to a teenage party. I'm a biker. And so you know what he thinks? He's a biker too. He calls me and him and I. He said, we're lone wolves. We ride alone. He says we're legit. He tells people we have a motorcycle. We don't have a motorcycle. I have a motorcycle. I just sold it. I can't ride anymore. I was hospitalized last year for diabetes type 2. You guys, you're too young to understand. My triglycerides were 2,874. My cholesterol was over 400. My A1C was 14.9. The endocrinologist said to me, you're moments away from something catastrophic happening. A lot changes, ladies and gentlemen, as you start getting older. We start to grow and mature, great wisdom and experience. I know sometimes we look at our parents and we're like, yeah, right, Mom, Dad, okay, yeah. We're not perfect parents. But you know one thing we do have? Wisdom and experience. Teachers, wisdom and experience. Coaches, wisdom and experience. Your grandparents, wisdom and experience. Open your heart to these people. Patrick's a special kid. But he doesn't have opportunity like you do. You know one thing? He'd love to someday just have a girlfriend. 3 years ago, I was invited to be a legal guardian of 2 biracial boys. I'll tell you about them. Jordan, 7th grade, 12 years old. This kid was amazing. He'd go to bed at night. My kids don't sleep with cell phones. Don't think I'm like crazy. And hey, Jeff, all kids do. I know that. It's stupid. Let me tell you why sleeping with your cell phone is stupid. Because you lose sleep. Young people need 8 to 10 hours of sleep a night. And if you're ugly, you need more. So like if you're going to go to bed with your cell phone, at least turn it on airplane mode so you get 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep a night. Number 1, I think lose the cell phone. Number 2, I think we could all benefit from better nutrition. I've got this girl in my community. Every time I'm driving, I see her at 3:30 in the afternoon. She's walking around with a 2-liter bottle of Mountain Dew. There's going to come a point in my life when I'm just going to have an attitude problem one day, and I'm going to pull up my pickup truck, I'm going to get out of my car, and I'm going to ask her, where are your parents? And then I'm going to go to the parents' house, and I'm going to scissor kick them in the head. I have simple things in life, less soda, more water. I think we can all benefit from more exercise. When I was growing up, like in high school or middle school, you guys, my girlfriend's boys, it's Christmas time, they're home from college. And they're great kids, straight A's, Clemson, the College of Charleston. You know what they do? They stay up all night long with their little headsets talking to people from all over the world while playing Xbox and eating my food. I'm okay with that. But I'll wake up about 5:30, 6 in the morning, and I'll walk out there like, Devin, Colin, you're still up. Mm-hmm. Thanksgiving, their friends came too. There were 5 of them. In the living room, my 80-inch television, they're all playing Xbox with 3 different TVs set up. And I'm like, is this what you guys do in college? And they looked at me like, like, what do you think we do? I'm like, oh, no, girls. And you know what they said to me? So shut up. That came out really wrong. That hang out, girls, guys. You guys are quick, man. But I said, is this what you guys do? Like, yeah. And they're like, what are you? I don't know. There's no girls here hanging out. And they said, girls don't like video games. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy life, man. Enjoy life. This thing is like really awkward. So back to Jordan, 7th grade, 12 years old. The point I was trying to make, get out there and get some exercise. I mean, put your phone away. How many of you live with stress and anxiety in your life? Raise your hands. Keep your hands up. Let me ask you this question. If you were to put your phone away, how much of you think some of that stress and anxiety would dissipate? Awesome. Jordan would go to sleep at night. He'd wake up on his own. I remember he would get in the shower. And I'd be walking down the hall, 7th grade, and I hear him singing. And I'd start laughing. He sucked at singing. But you know something? I learned something. I learned that as a parent, I've been wrong. I learned all these years as parents, teachers, going back to 4th and 5th grade, we start asking you, where do you want to go to college? What do you want to do? What do you want to be? And now today, we look at our people graduating from college, and we realize that 80% of them, they're working in a field that has nothing to do with their major. And the question we start asking is the cost of education worth the value of education? I'm pro-education. I think education is awesome. However, I think education is every day. Let me ask you something. Many of you stress. I met a girl in September while I was speaking at Quincy High School in Quincy, Illinois, 7th day of school. After I spoke to this girl, she's a junior, she comes up to me and she's in tears. I says, why are you crying? She was all stressed out that in 2 years she had to make a decision about college. Ladies and gentlemen, who cares? You know what I want for you as if you're my kids? I want every one of you to wake up with enthusiasm. I want every one of you to wake up with a passion for something. And if you wake up with a passion and you wake up enthusiastic about something, I promise you, your future is going to take care of itself. Stop stressing over little things. Find presence in your life and enthusiasm and a love for people and have a dream. Speaking of dream, let me ask you. How many of you have dreams and goals? Raise your hand. Now, please, hold your hands high if you have dreams and goals. I want to ask you this question. Keep your hands up. Those of you that have dreams and goals, how many of you have them written down at home? You can put your hands down. I'm going to be hard on you for a second. And I want you to know that my intentions are pure. And I want genuinely what is best for you. But let me tell you, I walk in your foyer and I see 4 banners that talk about Palisades High School, News and World Report, Newsweek. Oh, you guys look good. But then I come here and your staff, your teachers in the back just saw what just happened. Every one of you have goals and dreams. Probably less than 10% of you have them written down. You know what you guys have? You have a fantasy. That's what you have. You have a fantasy. You want your dreams to come true? Go home and write them down. And every single night you go to bed, I want you to read them. And every morning when you wake up, I want you to read them. And as you read them, I want you to feel it. I want you to believe it. I want you to see as if it's possible that you will be doing this. You have to be specific. I don't want you to just go home and write down, I want to graduate from college. That's not good enough. Where do you want to graduate from? You want to be in 4 years? How many degrees do you want? You want 1, maybe 2. What do you want to do later on in life? And you know something? You come to a fork in the road, and so many of you look around like, we're your friends. Hey, which way you going? You come to a fork in the road, go. And you know something? It's going to take you on the right path. Have the courage to go. So I'm sitting down thinking, Jordan's singing in the shower. You know what he was doing? He was creating his mood. He was creating the day before the day even happened. I suffer from depression. I suffer from anxiety. I'm diagnosed with bipolar type 2, and I'm diagnosed with PTSD. I don't smile because I'm happy. I've had to learn to control my emotions. And so every morning, I wake up about 5 a.m. Nobody is up. I go sit in my chair. I spend a few minutes meditating. I spend a few minutes breathing. And I know, Jeff, we all breathe. I breathe deep. Been in counseling for 25 years. And oftentimes when I breathe, I have this mantra. I breathe in peace. I exhale love. And I know some of you are like, dude, you're weird. Ladies and gentlemen, it works for me. I have a vision board. I write down goals and dreams. I look at magazines once every 3 months or 6 months, and I create a new one. I cut out pictures. I cut out quotes. I get on Pinterest, look at Instagram. I see something that inspires me, and I put it on a poster board. You know what I did last year? I wanted a Corvette. I woke up and I had this itch. I'm like, I want a black Corvette. And I was specific. I wanted convertible. I wanted to be like black leather. I wanted to be 500 horsepower. I want that thing to be bad. And I put it up on a poster, put it in my office, and every single day I'd look at that. And about 2 months later, I'm driving by this dealership. I saw this black Corvette. I was like, that's it. I stopped at it, and I'm like, I might not be able to fit in it, but I'm going to own it. And you know something? I think there's something about having a vision, putting your energies out there. But success doesn't happen until you have it written down. So yeah, I bought it. Of course I bought it. 500 horsepower, it's fast. So I sold the motorcycle. I'm keeping the Corvette. Jordan would come downstairs and he would make his waffles. He'd take the syrup, pour it all over the counter, get a little on his waffles. How do you miss your waffles? He'd go to school. He was an advocate for kids that got made fun of. He played football, played baseball. He'd come home, he'd have a snack, he'd do his homework. We'd watch TV at night. He'd sit right next to me. He was like a dog. Not that he looked like a dog, but you can pet him and he was happy. I want to tell you about his brother. His brother Joshua was 15 years old in the 9th grade. And from the age of 1 to 3 years old, he was sexually abused by his father. His father will never leave prison. 15 years old, ninth grade, and he can't sleep in his own bed at night. Every night we'd go to bed, and he'd ask me, Mr. Jeff, can I sleep with you? And every night a 15-year-old boy would bring a pillow and blanket. He'd sleep on the floor right next to my bed. 2 in the morning, Mr. Jeff. Close your eyes, Josh. I'm right here. We're okay. He couldn't take a shower. He could only take a bath. He's been hospitalized 9 times, an average of about 10 weeks each time. I'll never forget when I got him. School was about to start. We're sitting out on the back deck, and he says, I want to play football. Play football. What if I don't make the team? We worry about that then, Josh. You're fast. You're strong. You go out there and play the way you do in the yard. But he was afraid that he wouldn't make the team. So he developed the courage. And I encouraged him every day. And finally, the first day of school, the freshmen get to go out for the team. And you know what we came to find out? Everybody makes the team. Now, what if he didn't go out for the team because he was afraid he wouldn't make the team, but then come find out everybody makes the team? Could he then turn around and be like, Coach, I didn't know that everybody makes the team, but if everybody makes the team, can I be on the team? You know, ladies and gentlemen, the boat don't come in the harbor that often. But when the boat comes in the harbor, get on the damn boat. I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, people said to me, don't volunteer. Don't let people know your name. Marine Corps is one of the best things I ever did in my life. I volunteered for everything. And as a result of volunteered, I got to do things that nobody else got to do. I was proud of Josh. He made the team. He didn't play much, but that's good because he was small. And if you hit him, he'd end up like in Philly. Time out. No, carry on. I'll go get him. See you tomorrow. But you know what? He never stood on the sidelines complaining, crying. It's cold. Why can't I play? I remember one game, he was present. One game, coach calls a timeout, and the players can run the sideline. Coaches meet them out in the field. I see Joshua grab a big orange jug of water, and he runs it out to the field. And I'm thinking, Josh, what are you doing? But you know, that night I had to praise him. You know, there are 2 questions teenagers ask adults in their life. You want to find a role model in your life, there's 2 questions you'll ask. Number 1, can I trust you? Number 2, do you care about me? If you have someone in your life that cares about you, and you know you can trust them, they're your greatest advocate. You might not like what they have to say, but know that what they're saying is wisdom and experience, and they want what's best for you. Josh and I got home that night, and I praised him. Josh, you know, you're like the best teammate in the world. He's like, yeah, I'm part of a team. I'm like, yeah, you are. A couple weeks later, he comes home. Walks in the house, he throws his stuff down. Runs up to his room, throws his head in the pillow. He's hysterically crying, and I go up there and I sit down. I said, Josh, what happened today? He told me that day at practice, a senior, one of the captains, told him that he should do the whole team a favor and he should go home and kill himself. But yet not one person knew his story. I bet you everyone in this room has a story. I called the coach that night. I go over, I sit down with the coach. You know what we talked about? We talked about you. We talked about how awesome you are. We talked about how much we love teaching. You know why we teach? Because we want you to see in you what we see in you. The difference is you have potential, but some of you stop where that potential is about to begin. And you hold yourself back. And we as your teachers and parents, we want you to see more. Coach and I are talking about the responsibility of seniors. We're talking about the responsibility of our captains. And then we get home that night, and Josh was in the living room, and I sit down with him, and I says, Josh, I talked to Coach tonight. And I said, Josh, do you know why we forgive people? Not for them, Josh. But we forgive people for ourselves. Wouldn't it be awesome if we lived in a world where we could learn to forgive as quickly as we judge? Wouldn't it be great if we lived in a world where we can stop judging people based on the 5% that we think we know about them? Wouldn't it be awesome if we just lived in a world where we can live and let live? And we can. It just happens right here. I was abused as a child. My parents are both alcoholics. On the night that I graduated from high school, my parents kicked me out of the house. I never looked back. I found myself walking the streets of New York with a chip on my shoulder. You know what? You have a chip on your shoulder. Call it an attitude, call it an ego. I don't mean it's bad. We all have a chip on our shoulder. And we walk through life pushing away the messengers. You don't know me. Who are you to judge me? You don't know what it's like to be a teenager today. I understand. I remember walking through the streets of New York like, yo, you don't walk in my shoes. You ain't never been where I've been. You don't know what it's like to go home and not know, is my dad home? Is my dad not home? Where's my dad today? You don't know what it's like to go home and watch your dad beat your mama. But you can't say nothing for the fear that you're afraid you're going to get beat next. You want to judge me? You know the only reason I came here today is because Carl's a friend of mine. And I've been here before, and he asked me if I would come back. Ladies and gentlemen, as you walk out these doors in a few minutes, I wish for every one of you to check your ego at the door and walk out there with an open heart. And to think about people in your life that you do trust. And you go to them. I didn't do that. So at 18 years old, my self-esteem was so low that I honestly thought to myself, if I could just meet a girl, I'll marry her, and she would take care of me. So at 18 years old, I met a girl. At 19 years old, I married the girl that I met at 18 years old. At 19 years old, I had my first child. 19 years old, I joined the United States Marine Corps. At 20 years old, I went to the Gulf War. At 21 years old, I came back from the Gulf War. 2 of my Marines didn't. 22 years old, I had my second child. At 23 years old, I lost everything. You know my greatest regret in life? I wasn't a good enough dad. And so I stand before you and I say, you know, I think our life is about the choices we make and how we respond to circumstances that are in our life. Life's going to be hard, I promise you. One of the things that I fear for young people today is many of our young people have this sense of entitlement, thinking the world owes you something. The world owes you nothing. And I know a lot of 27, 28-year-olds that have graduated from college, and someone along the way told them that they can do whatever they want. And so they graduate, and yet they can't find a degree in their major. And so at 27, 28 years old, they're living in their parents' basement, watching late-night television, sitting in a beanbag chair, naked, eating Doritos, contemplating why things aren't working out. You know why things aren't working out? Because they don't have the courage. 9 years ago, my daughter's mom called me. I'm working a youth conference, and mom says to me, "Are you free?" "No." "With 200 kids. Why?" Mom says, "You might want to make yourself free." "Why?" I'll never forget her words. "I just dropped your daughters off at the airport. Unless you want them to be homeless, you need to find them a one-way ticket because they're no longer welcome in my family anymore." How would you like that? I get to the airport in Grand Rapids. Within 2 hours of getting that phone call, I arrive on a private plane into Dayton, Ohio. I get off the plane and walk in front of the airport. Sitting on a bench on the other side of the airport, my daughters are sitting on a bench. They had 3 black trash bags to their name. They had no money. They had no cell phones. They barely had hope. Ladies and gentlemen, you never want to lose hope. The first thing I do is I run over to my girls. I give them a great big hug, and I said, "It's going to be okay." Do you think that when I hugged them and I said that it would be okay, that I knew that it would be okay? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know you. And you guys, you don't know me. And I know there's some of you in this room that go home to within your 4 walls, and life is not perfect. I know some of you deal with alcoholism. We deal with financial struggles. We deal with divorce and separation. I go home, I deal with similar stuff too. My dad, 68 years old, finally decided to go to rehab. He's been sober for a year. Patrick, where's my mom? Yet I can't tell him that his mom is a prostitute and a drug addict that took off on her son. I believe that no matter what we go through, it will be okay. You have to believe no matter what you go through, it will be okay. I think there are 2 types of people in the world. There's some people that spend their whole lives complaining about circumstances, that life isn't fair. And then there's the other type of people that live their lives asking better questions. I think, if your life stinks, maybe it's because you stink. I mean, think about it. Maybe your motivation stinks. Maybe your attitude stinks. Maybe your choices stink. Think about that. If you want to change things in your life, ask better questions. How can I be a better son? How can I be a better friend? How can I find a mentor, a role model? How can I be a better boyfriend, a better girlfriend? How can I improve my grades? How can I have an awesome weekend ahead? How can I get in the college of my choice? Bring it home. How can I do this? I go through the spinal cord fusion. I'm laid up. My whole career is done. 23 years of an amazing career. And I just said, I'm done. And I just started walking forward. I'm not looking back. You know what we fight all the time? Happiness. What is happiness? Getting in the college of your choice? Happiness having a lot of money, happiness family, happiness shelter, happiness having a boyfriend, happiness having a girlfriend. When you suffer from depression and you lose a marriage because you're bipolar, well, let me tell you what happiness is. Happiness is every day. When I get home into Myrtle Beach tonight, and I get home about midnight, I'm going to lay my head in the pillow, and there's 3 questions I'm going to ask. Number 1, is my life meaningful? What does that mean? Is there meaning to my very existence? Is there meaning to my life? Number 2, is my life fulfilling? We talked about goals and dreams, but you know what we didn't talk about? Purpose. What is your purpose? I'm in the airport this morning and I'm looking at people and I'm just like, people just wake up and go to work and they hate their life. People just wake up and go to school and they hate school. People just wake up and they go and they hate everything. Because so many people don't have a purpose. Your purpose in life doesn't have a beginning, it doesn't have an end, but I'll tell you, your purpose takes you from where you are to where you want to be. I'm not sure why I went off on that tangent. Is my life meaningful? Is my life fulfilling? Number 3, is my life rewarding? If you can't say yes to those 3 questions, then make a change in your life. What change? You guys are in high school. What change do you make? I'm going to surround myself with more positive people? Oh, geez. I'm 44. You know the change I make? They're life-changing. New house. Should I marry her? Should I not marry her? Should I take my money in this account? Should I put it in that account? Should I sell my truck? Should I get a new car? What about the Corvette? I sold the motorcycle. Changes as you get older become much more extreme. But you know what? You make changes in your life to live a more fulfilling, meaningful life. You know what bothers us? Our emotions. How many of you, your head talks to you in ways that you don't like it? Maybe it doesn't make sense. Some of you are like, well, I don't want to be too honest, Jeff. So I'll just bring it home. I don't live in my head because my head, like many of you, we don't get along. My head tells me I'm fat. My head tells me I'm not smart. My head tells me that I'm not worthy to be here. My head tells me I'm not as strong as you. Not the good-looking guy that can date the pretty girl. I went that way through high school, always comparing myself to that of you. And I always found I fell short to how great you are. I'd learned to live in my heart. My heart says everybody is beautiful. My heart says that life is awesome. Our emotions get the best of us if we listen to the negative self-talk. And that's part of the reason why I get up, I have my vision board, I meditate, I pray, I breathe, I journal. How many of you deal with anger? Nobody wants to admit that either. I was an angry kid when I was growing up. I remember about 6th grade, I was so angry that my parents, they wanted me to play football. I didn't know nothing about football, so I played football. My parents football would be really good for him. He can use his energy and hit people in a constructive manner. I remember I'm on the football field and this dude hit me. So I run across the field and I hit him back. Then the coach is yelling at me, "Yalden, what are you doing? He hit me. He's supposed to hit you." Oh, okay. Noted. Then I had to learn to play football between the whistles. What a great thing to learn. And then when you get hit between the whistle, you get up, you find the shortest route to the ball carrier, and you arrive in a bad mood. I learned to love football. So I'm 22 years old. And I'm coming back from the Gulf War. And I'll tell you the greatest moment that I'm most proud of in my life. My anger, I wasn't in control of. My anger was deep. And I was scared. I asked for help. I went to my unit and I said to them, I said, listen, I need someone to talk to. And so my command made an appointment with this person that specialized in anger management. Apparently, she was a doctor. She had like a lot of education that's supposed to make her like really smart. So my appointment was like a month away or something. 8 o'clock, Jacksonville, Florida. I got to go to the hospital. I like to be early. So I get to the hospital a little early, and I'm driving in the parking lot, and I can't find a parking spot. Imagine like the mall in like Philadelphia, Christmas time, on the weekend. Everyone's there. You can't find a spot. My anxiety on a scale of 1 to 10 is at like a 30. I just need a spot. My hands are at 10 and 2. The steering wheel is about to break. I'm driving up and down, up and down. I need a spot. When all of a sudden, I see this car about to back out of its spot. At that time, I stop my car, I turn on my blinker as if to say, that's my spot. My anxiety is coming down, and I'm just waiting for when that car backs out and backs out towards me. The car is then going to go forward, and as the car goes forward, I will proceed directly behind the car and pull into the parking spot. Do you visualize this? Okay, so the car backs out, and I'm about ready to go forward. When the car goes forward, this Navy boy comes flying around the corner and quickly pulls into my spot. That was stupid. I stop my car. I get out of my car. I proceed to Navy boy's car in my Marine Corps uniform in a physical Marine-type presence. I get to Navy boy's car. I reach in the window. I grab Navy boy, and I pull him out of his car through the window. I then lay him out right there. I then proceed to get in his car. I then back his car out of my spot. As I'm backing it out, there's plenty of room. I stop his car. I park his car. I exit his vehicle. I proceed to my vehicle. I get over to my vehicle. I get in my vehicle. I put my car into drive. And carefully, I proceed to pull in to my spot. Careful not to hit him, because that would be bad. That would be like homicide, murder, I go to jail, whatever. So I pull in, I park my car, I exit my car, I tell him to have a nice day because kindness matters. I then proceed to go, this is a true freaking story. I then go into the doctor's appointment with this person I ain't never met. I walk in there, my uniform is disheveled, I'm emotionally exhausted, I'm physically distraught. You can see when doctor says to me, how are you today? I'm a little angry. So then said doctor goes right into counseling mode. You know, when we get angry, we should learn to count to 10. Really? I'm sitting there boiling inside, like, yeah, we should get out blocks that say 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and go back to kindergarten. She knew I was mad. sometimes 10, we should count to 100. I have ADDD. I can't get to 12 without thinking about what 12-year-old boys think about. Boobs, right? Then she says to me, check this out. I'm in full Marine Corps uniform. She tells me that endorphins, exercise, we should learn to go for a walk. Really? I'm in the United States Marine Corps. We PT every morning at 6 a.m. I don't need to go for a walk. So then she says to me, here's a specialist in anger management. She kicks me out of her practice and tells me that my anger is beyond her professional therapy. Who gets kicked out of anger management? Like, really? So I had to figure it out on my own. And I've learned to deal with it. Number one, I have this mantra. Take time to think. Number two, this is probably my favorite. Will this bother me tomorrow as much as it's bothering me right now? Number three, Patrick loves this stupid movie, called Frozen. If I ever watch that movie again, I'm going to scissor kick someone. But there's a great song. Let it go. You know my favorite song now? Hello? It's me. I love Adele. I could just listen to her and then my favorite, ladies and gentlemen, anger is like pee in your pants. Everyone can see it, but only you can feel it. I want to leave you with this. You ever been disappointed? We have disappointment every day. Sometimes we go to high school and we expect that people are going to respect you. You see, when you have expectations that aren't met, you become disappointed. The problem is sometimes our expectations are too high. I've come to learn to not live my life with an expectation, and I've come to learn to not let people put expectations on me. You see, I now live with an objective. What's that mean? When you have an objective, you'll never be disappointed. So this morning I woke up, I got on a plane, came here to Palisades High School. I knew I was going to speak in a beautiful auditorium. I knew I'd have a beautiful sound system. I knew I'd have amazing students. I knew I'd be amongst an amazing staff. And then when I came in here, I said, hey, Jeff, do you want to use the stage? You want to use the floor? Jeff, I'm sorry, but, we're setting up for a concert. We have all of our stuff back there. Some ladies and gentlemen, I have no control over this. And me and you, we have no control over people. We have no control over places. We have no control over things. The only thing I had control over is that when I walked in here and I saw you, I had control over me. And while I was up here, I thought to myself, I haven't spoken in about 2 months. I probably wouldn't have great timing. But you know what? I'm going to own this. I'm going to be real. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be engaged. And from that pretty lady right there to that pretty lady all the way in the end, I'm going to respect you and everyone in between. So let me ask you this question. If I respect you, don't you think you're probably going to respect me back? Now, what if I give you respect, but for whatever reason you choose not to respect me back? Is that my issue, or is that their issue? Think about that. If you respect someone, they choose not to respect you back, it's not your issue, that's their issue. Tigers don't lose sleep to the opinion of sheep. Lions don't turn around to the bark of a small dog. My question to you, are you a lion or are you a small dog? Are you a tiger or are you a sheep? Seniors up front here. What year are you, pretty lady? You're a senior. Are you part of this Stand Up to Silence campaign? Obviously, you're wearing a shirt. What is your name? Haley? Would you please stand up, Haley? I'm Jeff. Nice to meet you. Thank you. No, you come here. Why don't you turn towards me? All right. Must feel nice to have everyone applaud you when you stand up. You know how many people are in here right now that if they stood up, they probably wouldn't get applauded? That's sad. I'm going to ask you a question. As I ask you this question, Haley, I want you to pay no attention to anyone behind you. I want you to pay no attention to anyone on your left or anyone on your right. This is just me, you. This is you, me. This is my heart, your heart, my heart. Do you know why I kind of picked you? Because as I looked around the front row, I saw a very pretty young lady sitting right there. And so I looked at you and I said, yeah, you. Here's my question, Haley. You're a very pretty young lady. Do you know that? Have you ever looked in the mirror? Like looked in the mirror. You see, most people look in the mirror and, do I look pretty? How's my hair and makeup? Does my outfit match? But did you ever spend time looking in the mirror? No. What is your name, pretty lady? It's Devin? Devin. Have you ever looked in the mirror? Does anyone freaking look in the mirror? What's your name? Yeah. Tommy. You looked in the mirror? When you look in the mirror, is the mirror sometimes tells us too much, right? And sometimes the mirror says to us what we don't like to hear. Haley, does that make sense? So you have looked in the mirror, and sometimes when you look in the mirror, you don't like what the mirror is saying back, right? My question that I ask you now is this. It's Friday night. My time is up. It's 2:20. I don't want you to answer this and be honest to me. I want nothing more than you to be honest with yourself. Because the answer that you give me is what will define the assembly that we just had. Only your answer will everybody hear, and only your answer will everybody know. But tonight at 10, 11 o'clock, when you walk into your bathroom at home and you're brushing your teeth and you're getting ready for bed, and you look in the mirror Do you see a woman as beautiful on the inside as the world looks as you and we see you on the outside? Grab a seat. I ask that question every day. Too many people look in the mirror to see how we look. I want you to go home and look in the mirror to see who you are. And when you spend more time looking at who you are, I promise you, how you look will take care of itself. And most every time I ask that question, I hear from a high school senior, the answer is no. She had the courage to say yes. Value yourself through the people that are in your life that support you and encourage you. And in return, I hope you support and encourage them. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great weekend. Have an awesome holidays. Thank you.